Bismillah. الحمد لله رب العالمين الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن استنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا اللهم بما علمتنا وزدنا اللهم علما وعملا إنك ولي ذلك والقادر عليه. أما بعد، فهذا درسنا في شرح بلوغ المرام للحافظ ابن حجر رحمه الله وغفر الله لنا وله ولسائر المسلمين. وكنا وقفنا في باب آداب قضاء الحاجة، وأخذنا بعض الأحاديث في الباب لمراجعة. أخذنا حكم إصحاب أو صحبي يعني ما مكتوب عليه اسم الله في الحمام أو عند قضاء الحاجة، أن يكون على جسم الإنسان في جيبه أو نحو ذلك. وقلنا أنه ليس هناك نص صحيح في النهي عن ذلك، لكنه ينافي التعظيم المطلوب لذكر الله أن يكون على الإنسان وهو يقضي حاجته، فيقال إنه لا ينبغي وأنه مكروه إلا عند الاضطرار إلى ذلك. مثلا إنسان يخاف أن يسرق هذا المكتوب، لو وضعه خارج الحمام فله ذلك أن يصحبه في الحمام وأن يكون على جسمه. هذا هو الحكم في ذلك. So we mentioned last time, just to review a couple of issues based on this chapter of the manners of going to the restroom. We mentioned, first of all, that a person should not have on his body the name of Allah, like in the written form. It's disliked. It's makruh. But unless there's no other choice. For example, he's afraid this book or this paper will get stolen if he leaves it outside, then he can put it in his pocket and go and use the restroom, no problem. Even a mushaf, if he's afraid the mushaf, if he leaves it outside, it will get stolen, then he can even bring it in his pocket if that necessity arises. But it's better to lend it to a friend or something, to be outside of the bathroom. This is the better scenario if he can do so. Also, the matter of the dhikr, we mentioned when person goes actually to use the restroom, he says, Allahumma inni, or Bismillah, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-khubuthi wal-khaba'ith. Or Bismillah, oh Allah, I seek refuge in you from the evil and the evil spirits, the shayateen, male and female. This he says when he is about to go into the bathroom. And we mentioned last time the bathroom now in here, for example, they're different than other bathrooms or most modern bathrooms. They're in a way where it's compartmentalized. There's the toilet, there's the sink, the shower. If it's an individual bathroom, one-person bathroom, then once he goes actually to the toilet, that's when he makes the dhikr. At the last step before he takes off his clothes. Okay? Before one takes off his clothes, then he makes the dhikr. If he wants to, he can say it before he enters the room. That's fine too. But some scholars say it's before he goes into that particular place, because he's going to have to, after he leaves the toilet, he's going to have to say the dhikr, which is ghufranak, and then he goes to make wudu, right? Before he makes wudu, he says Bismillah. Okay, so he's still in the general restroom. So he's mentioning the name of Allah, you see, in the restroom, but not when he's actively on the toilet. When on the no, there's no mention of the name of Allah, as will come in the later on in the chapter. One cannot mention the name of Allah when he's actively there, or if it's a toilet where there's najasa still there, the najasa is still there, then it's not right. Like it was brought up last time. He should go further away from the najasa. Like if there's no flush or something, then he should remove himself from that location, and then he mentions the name of Allah further away. Okay, and also we mentioned the fact that Prophet ﷺ would go far away from the people when he would go to the restroom. They didn't have restroom. They didn't have buildings, really. They had, the open space, usually. But he would go far where he would not be able to be seen or heard. So it's not just about covering one's aura. That's part of it. It's also, if possible, to cover generally the whole, situation. That it should not be heard, or smelled, or anything that would come from him when he's doing this. So that's the the best scenario. That's يعني الحية الكاملة التي كان عليها النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. كان على شدة الحياة. كان أحيا الناس. He was the most shy, the most modest, that he would not even want to be, known that he was doing this by anyone. So he go far away from any sight or hearing. Okay, next. الحديث رقم السادس والثمانون عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم اتقوا اللآنين الذي يتخلى في طريق الناس أو في ظلهم رواه مسلم. So this hadith, the next hadith for today, from Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, beware of the two things that bring curse from the people. That a person should relieve himself in the path, walking ways of the people, in the streets, or in their shade, or in their places where they take shade and relax. And there's other hadith. Next hadith is extension. Wal mawarid, the places where they water and irrigate and make drink or take their water. And next hadith is connected. وفي أو نقي ماء, or the places of like the stream or the creeks or the water which is standing, small bodies of water. So any of those places, a person should not relieve himself, must not, it's prohibited, that he should go, number one or number two, in these public places of public benefit. Okay. والعلة في ذلك الأذية، أن يتأذى الناس لو رأوا إنسانا يقضي حاجته في هذه الأماكن يستقذرونه وتعافه أنفسهم، وقد يتسخطوا عليه، أو قد يتمردوا من الرائحة. هناك النهي هنا وارد من عدة أوجه. أولا من الرائحة الكريهة التي تصدر من الإنسان إذا يقضي حاجته في الأماكن العامة، وأيضا قد يتلوثون في أجسامهم ولباسهم من هذا الغائط أو البول، وأيضا يمنعون ويحرمون من هذه المجالس لأنهم يتنزهون في الظل هذه أو في هذا الطريق، فيحرمون ويفسد عليهم طريقهم وظلهم ومواردهم. Okay, so here what combines all these public places? They're places where if a person goes and uses the restroom, he's hurting the people. He's bothering the people, because they are public places. Whether it be the street, he's taking away the benefit of them walking in this road, because when they walk in this road, they see, you know, this what he did, they would be annoyed, or they may be bothered by the smell, or their clothes may get dirty from walking on this filth. Also in the shade, people go to the shade to relax. So if a person does this where they go in the places of relaxation, they can't relax anymore. He took away their benefit and he harmed them. And also the places of the water, obviously, they would not want to take water from a place where they see this filth. They may be afraid either that the water has become filthy, najas, or at the very least they are, bothered and they're annoyed by this, even if the water is not filthy. So that's the what combines, this matter is that it harms the people. This is the haram. ليس فقط أذية المسلمين بل أذية الناس عموما، لأن الحديث جاء الذي يتخلى في طريق الناس سواء كان مسلما أو كافرا، فالكافر له حق لو كان من معاهد أو ذمي وبيننا وبينهم عهد أو عقد، فليس لنا أن نضرهم ونؤذيهم، هذا ما يجوز. فله حقوق علينا. So the wording of the hadith is not just the one who goes in the path of the Muslim or the shade of the Muslim. This more so because he's a Muslim. But the hadith says whoever goes and relieves himself in the path of the people, even if they be non-Muslim. Because the non-Muslim, as long as we have a treaty and we're not at war with them, like in this country we all have a treaty of peace with them, we cannot harm them in their rights. They have rights upon us. From that is that we don't take away their places of general gatherings, their shade, their streets, and make them filthy with this act, even if they be non-Muslim. So this shows the noble manners of Islam. That جاء الإسلام بالآداب الرفيعة. The Islam came with the most noble manners, and is far from harming the people in any such way. وقوله وألا يعني أو في ظلهم، فيؤخذ من هذا اللفظ أنه لا يحرم التخلي في الظل مطلقا، إنما يحرم عن الظل المستعمل، ظل الناس، الظل الذي يستظلون به. أما الظل العام الذي لا يرد عليه الناس فليس هناك منع في ذلك. Also with the wording that says or their shade, who? The people. This shows that it doesn't mean a person cannot go, if there's no restroom, for example, he's out, in the open land, or in the, out in the forest or something, for some reason, that he can't go next to a tree or so. He can, as long as this is not known to be a place of public shade. You see, he can. So it's only the shade which is used by the people, because it harms them. So going back to the wisdom, the illa, يعني الحكم يدور مع الإلا وجودا وعدما. This is the principle, that the ruling goes with the reason for the ruling. As long as the reason is present, the ruling is present. Haram. If the reason is not present, meaning there's no harm to the people, then the ruling is not there. It's not haram. Okay, so والموارد في الحديث التالي حديث 87 زاد أبو داود عن معاذ رضي الله عنه. والموارد، موارد الأماكن التي يردها الناس للشرب أو استسقاء ونحو ذلك. This al-mawarid, the next hadith, means the places of the public water from whence they drink or make wudu, or take for their irrigation or their watering of their animals and and giving drink to their animals and so on. And again, this would harm the people similarly to the shade, similarly to the public pathways. والحديث التالي أو نقع ماء حديث ابن عباس, or the غدارات or غدير. This is like the standing water. Here, if it's standing water, أخذنا في أول الكتاب أنه ورد نهي عن البول في الماء الراكد الذي لا يجري, لأن الماء قد يتلوث, قد يتنجس من البول إذا كان راكدا لا يجري. إذا بال إنسان فيه مرات أو جاء إنسان آخر بعده وبال فيه قد يتلوث ويتنجس بذلك. فالنهي وارد من باب التنجيس وأيضا من باب الإيذاء, الأذية للناس. So the next hadith is the standing water. Why are we not allowed to urinate in the water which does not flow? Okay, which is like a pond. Okay, this we took in the beginning of the book, that if it's a standing water, it does not renew, then it may become filthy. If a person urinates in that water, and he does it several times, eventually the water may become filthy, and it may change in its attributes, in its color, its smell, or its taste, to become not water anymore, not drinkable, not usable. That's if it's stationary water. So that's the one problem with the stationary water for a person to use the restroom, the bathroom there. The second problem is if it is being used by the people, even if it doesn't become filthy, they're still disgusted by this, and they would not be able to benefit from this water anymore for their needs. وجاء في الحديث التالي وأخرج هذا الحديث 89 وأخرج الطبراني النهي عن قضاء الحاجة تحت الأشجار المثمرة وضفة النهر الجاري من حديث ابن عمر بسند ضعيف. This next hadith is weak, but لكن معناه صحيح بشروط. This next hadith has a good meaning, because it also comprises the general benefit of the people would be that a person should relieve himself in the common public places. Here the prohibition is from relieving oneself under the trees which give fruit, those which drop fruit, meaning the fruit that people come and take from. Okay, again, it harms their able to this fruit and destroys their fruit and corrupts it upon them. So this is a harm, and again, it goes back to the reason and the wisdom. This is harming the people, therefore it's haram. وضفة النهر الجاري. This is the shore of the river, the coast of the river or the shore. That's prohibited also because same reason. This is where people come to get their water source, and so if you pollute their that area, you harm them. So any questions so far on that? This is some of the manners the author brought that a person should avoid these matters.
The cell phone that has the Quran app in the bathroom. What's the reason on that?
It's only a problem if it's open and it can be seen. But if it's in the app and cannot be read, there's no problem. Yeah, if it's open and actively being used and you can see the letters, that's the problem. It's makruh or haram for the Quran, for the Mus'haf. Really, a person should not do it unless, again, he's afraid it'll get stolen. Mus'haf or the phone. Phone very likely to be stolen. But the phone is easy, just turn it off. Yeah. If your phone, you just turn it off and there's no more Mus'haf. It doesn't have the ruling of the Mus'haf, the phone. Only it has the ruling of the name of Allah upon it if it's open and can be seen. Also, going back to the hadith, taqu al-la'anain, al-la'anain, just to benefit from the wording of the hadith, al-la'an huwa kathirul la'an. He's the one, al-la'an is the one who makes cursing a lot, curses people a lot, or curses things a lot. But here's the warning is to the person, not the one who's cursing, right? The warning is the person who brings the curse upon himself by relieving himself in the public place. So if he does that, meaning the people will curse him, could curse him and say, "What's wrong with you?" And abuse him and criticize him severely. So he is the one who يعني تطلق عليه هذا الاسم وهذه الكلمة لأنه تسبب في اللعن، وفي القاعدة أن المتسبب ينزل منزلة الفاعل. So here the reason is, why is he, it says, beware of the cursed, literally the one who curses a lot. It's not that. It means beware of the one who brings upon him the curse. So the principle is the one who causes a thing to happen. He has the ruling of that thing. Okay? He was the cause for this thing to happen. Although he didn't do it physically, directly he didn't do it. He didn't curse. But because he brought that into effect, he has the ruling. And the word can be applied to him, that he's accursed. He's a curser. Rather, but he brought the curse upon him, literally. Okay? Okay, so the next hadith التسعون 90 عن جابر رضي الله عنه قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا تغوط الرجلان فليتوارى كل واحد منهما عن صاحبه ولا يتحدثا فإن الله يمقت على ذلك. هذا الحديث صححه الشيخ الألباني رحمه الله أو حسنه. So the next hadith, the wording is it's clarified. Another hadith is more clear. We'll mention that جاء عند أبي داود من حديث أبي سعيد الخدري رضي الله عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال لا يخرج الرجلان يضربان الغائط كاشفين عن عورتهما يتحدثان فإن الله عز وجل يمقت على ذلك. صححه الألباني رحمه الله. So the hadith in a more clear wording goes like this: that two men should not go and use the restroom, okay, showing their private parts to each other, and speaking and talking to each other in the process of this. So here the prohibition actually is not only on speaking, because some scholars took from this such hadith a prohibition to speak while in the bathroom or while using the restroom. But the hadith actually doesn't say that. Hadith يعني نهى عن هذه الصورة الكاملة أن يكون الإنسان كاشفا عن عورته مع صاحبه وهم يتحدثان. Okay, ليس النهي عن الكلام بوحده، إنما الكلام في هذه الهيئة وهذه الصورة المخصوصة. So here the prohibition is actually upon this complete situation. Okay, a prohibition that two people should be relieving themselves, showing their private areas, and talking to each other. All of that. Okay, there's no actual prohibition of talking outside of dhikr of Allah. Al-kalam al-adi, the speech of besides the dhikr of Allah. There's no clear hadith prohibiting that. Okay, but هذا الكلام ينافي المروءة والأخلاق والآداب الإسلامية But to talk in the restroom remains something which is looked down upon. Okay, it goes against the respectable person. Okay, a person respectable should not talk in this moment because, as we said, besides the Prophet ﷺ taught us that he would go far away. Okay, if he's far away from everyone, how is he going to talk to anyone? He would be far. He would know where he would talk to while he's in the using the restroom. So this is not to be done إلا إذا اقتضته الحاجة إذا اضطر الإنسان إلى ذلك. مثلا ناداه أبوه وهو في الحمام يقضي حاجته جالس على المرحاض فيناديه أبوه وهو لا يدري أنه في الحمام فله أن يجيب يقول يا بابا أنا في الحمام يجوز لأن الحاجة تقتضيه وهو من الضرورة. Okay, so we say it's not allowed generally to speak in the restroom, but it should not be understood as something that absolute, except there's a need, like we mentioned about the carrying with you the something with the name of Allah upon it. Sometimes the need arises. Sometimes you have to, okay, because you're afraid it's going to get stolen. Here, sometimes you have to, talk in the bathroom. Like for example, your father calls you. Okay, he doesn't know. He just came in the house. He calls you. He doesn't know you're in the bathroom. So you can say, "I'm in the bathroom," okay, without mentioning the name of Allah. Just general speech. I'm in the bathroom. No salam. No, because the salam min dhikrillah. وهذا لا يليق بهذه الأماكن المستقذرة المستقبحة بيوت الشياطين. No, it's not allowed to say the name of Allah. It's not allowed if he says salam to you and you're in the bathroom, you can't say wa alaikum salam. You can't say wa alaikum salam or say any name of Allah because Allah ordered us بالتعظيم, ordered us to have respect and honor and give high status to the name of Allah, and that goes against mentioning the name of Allah in these places because these are the houses of the shayateen. So كما قال الله تعالى ومن يعظم شعائر الله فإنها من تقوى القلوب. تعظيم من لشعائر الله يدخل في ذلك أسماء الله وكلام الله. هذا مأمور به تنزيهه عن الإهانة والتذليل. So this Allah said, for example, whoever magnifies the shrines of Allah, the great symbols, the symbols of Allah, then that is from the piety of the heart. And the symbols of Allah included in that is the names of Allah. This is something like the adhan, like the masajid, and the very famous things and symbols that to put them and in these places of filth. This goes against this ayah. وأيضا ما يفيد ذلك حديث عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أن رجلا ألقى عليه السلام وهو يبول فلم يرد عليه السلام إلا بعد أن انتهى ثم تيمم ثم رد عليه السلام فقال إني كرهت أن أذكر الله إلا على طهر. فإذا كان كره أن يذكر اسم الله بعد قضاء الحاجة على غير طهارة من باب التنزيه فما بالك وهو على نفس المرحاض يقضي حاجته فأبعد أن يذكر اسم الله في هذه الحالة لا شك أنه لا يجوز. So what also indicates that a person, when it comes to the names of Allah, we talked about the general speech. General speech, a person may have to, someone calls him, he says, I'm in the bathroom. Person's actually sitting, when he's actually sitting on the toilet, Allah, actually there, this is the problem. Like we said, if he's just in the room next to the sink, that's not really have the ruling of the toilet. So, but anyways, a person on the toilet and someone calls him, he can say, I'm in the bathroom. Okay. Okay. Or someone important phone call comes, he can say, I'm in the bathroom. Without saying salam. He cannot reply to the salam or mention any name of Allah while he's in that act. Why? We said because that goes against the respect that is due to Allah and His names. And also because of this hadith, the Prophet ﷺ was one time urinating, and a man said to him, Salam. So the Prophet ﷺ did not reply. You see, he did not reply to the salam until after he left, finished that and made tayammum, on the wall, and made tayammum, made tahara, and then he replied to him salam. He said, I did not like to name the mention of name of Allah while I was not on purification. So whilst not on purification, he would refrain from mentioning the name of Allah out of it's not the best way. It's allowed, but he wanted to do the best. Okay, the best is to be upon tahara, either wudu or tayammum. But in this case, the point is that even without tahara, he would not mention the name of Allah. What about on the restroom? More so. There's no way he would mention the name of Allah in that act. طيب نأخذ حديث آخر، حديث 91 عن أبي قتادة رضي الله عنه قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لا يمسن أحدكم ذكره بيمينه وهو يبول ولا يتمسح من الخلاء بيمينه ولا يتنفس في الإناء متفق عليه واللفظ لمسلم. The next hadith will take one more, inshallah, from Abu Qatada radiallahu anhu. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, one of you must not touch his private part with his right hand while he is urinating. And he must not clean himself with his right hand from what he did, number one or number two. And he must not breathe into the vessel. So this hadith is agreed upon Bukhari and Muslim. So it contains three matters. Okay. The first matter, massu al-dhakar bil-yamin athna al-bawl, the ruling of touching one's private part with his right hand when he is urinating. For the purpose he may need for some reason to, use his hands, he must not use his right hand. Okay, must use his left hand, obviously, because the right hand is used for the good things, for the eating, for drinking, and so on. And the left hand is reserved for anything which is disliked, removing of filth, touching the private part. The next issue, cleaning oneself with water or tissue. All that, of course, should be done with the left hand. Right hand reserved for the good things, left hand for the filthy things. And هذا من باب إكرام اليمين أو تكريم اليد اليمنى. And this is from the giving honor to the right hand. And the right hand is better than the left, okay, generally. So this is known generally from the physical, day-to-day activities. We're always eating with our right hand. We are, giving salam with the right hand, and so on. And so all these good things, and all this shows that the right hand is the stronger hand. Okay, most people write with the right hand, and so on. لكن هل يفهم من هذا اللفظ تحريم مس الذكر باليمنى مطلقا? But are we to understand from this that we're never allowed to touch our private part with our right hand? No, because the hadith says وهو يبول في حالة البول, because the hadith makes this condition that he should not touch his private part with his right hand while he is urinating. But outside of that condition, it's allowed, because al-aslu fil ashya al-hillu wa-tahara. So because the origin is we are allowed to touch our body part anyway, there's no prohibition. to do so, except in this case. And obviously, because his right hand may become filthy from that act. طيب المسألة الثالثة في الحديث ولا يتنفس في الإناء. The last thing mentioned in this hadith, and he must not breathe into the vessel. Meaning when he's drinking, usually when people drink, this may occur if he's not paying attention, that he may breathe back into the vessel which he's drinking or eating from. So بل جاء النهي بلفظ أي نهى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أن يتنفس في الإناء أو ينفخ فيه, that the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم forbade that a person should breathe in the water or to blow. Blowing is more severe. A person blows in the water. Why would a person blow into the vessel, into the container? Maybe because it's hot. The fluid is hot or the food is hot. So he blows. But there's a prohibition from blowing into the vessel. And also breathing. Rather, a person should, if he wants to breathe while he's drinking, he takes a drink, moves the glass away, and breathes outside. Breathes out, and then drink, breathe out, drink, breathe out. Okay, and the sunnah is that 3 times. Another hadith Anas رضي الله عنه in the Muslim, كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يتنفس في الشراب 3. He used to breathe in the vessel 3 times, meaning in the process of drinking. يعني كان إذا شرب ما يحتاجه من الشراب كان يفعل ذلك على 3 دفعات. He used to do it in 3 portions, meaning whatever he wants to drink, he used to drink it in 3 sips. Okay, but breathing away from the vessel. And what's the reason? Al-Hafidh ibn Hajar said elsewhere in Fath al-Bari, قال أي لا يجوز له أن يتنفس في الإناء أي في داخله, that he should not breathe into the vessel. وهذا النهي للتأدب ولإرادة المبالغة في النظافة. Is for to avoid basically any change in the water, because a person when he has in his mouth, if he breathes out, قد يخرج, maybe some spit would come, okay, some saliva would come and mix with the water, and the water would change in its attribute. Okay, the water would change in the smell, for example, because of what a person has in his mouth. Okay, he should not release that, whatever he has in his mouth, into the water, because that would change the smell or the taste of the water. So therefore, this prohibition of breathing into the vessel is not only for the sake of other people, because some people may think, because a person would breathe into it and then someone else drinks, and it would bother that other person, but rather himself, he would be harmed because of whatever has in his mouth of spit or mucus that would change the water for himself too, and he would be harmed or either disgusted by that change. So to avoid that, this great manner has come in the sunnah that a person should not breathe in it. If he wants to breathe out, to avoid that anything coming into the water. So all these tremendous manners, every detail that we need to benefit ourselves and protect ourselves from harm in food or drink or going to the restroom, all these little details have been outlined for us. This shows the great wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He did not leave anything for our benefit except He legislated for us, and He didn't leave anything that is harmful for us except He prohibited us. Okay, and so this shows that the completion of the Sharia, that as Allah said, "Al-yawma akmaltu lakum dinakum wa atmamtu alaykum ni'mati wa raditu lakum al-Islam dina." Allah said, "On this day I have completed your religion for you and perfected my favor upon you." Perfected, complete for everything we need and perfect, meaning it's complete, so there's nothing missing. Okay, and it's perfect. وَأَتْمَمْتُ عَلَيْكُمْ نِعْمَتِي, so it's perfect, meaning there's nothing to be, taken away, or it's not nothing to be, refined in a way. It's already perfect. وَرَضِيتُ لَكُمُ الْإِسْلَامَ دِينًا, and I favored for you, chosen for you, Islam as the religion. And so this is what he said about this hadith. As far as if the drink or the food is hot, then a person should wait. A person may be hasty and say, "I want to blow on it to cool it down," but that goes against this hadith. Actually, the hadith says, "La yatanaffas wa la yanfukh." So what should he do? Either he waits, or he can pour it into another vessel to cool it down. Okay, likewise, and then drink it. But originally, he should not be drinking too hot. That he has to blow on it means that he may be hurt from the heat. So it should not be that hot, anyways. So that's according to that hadith. وإن شاء الله نكتفي بهذا القدر. Any questions on this? What we took today? We covered the places where a person should not go to the bathroom, public places, the public pathways, the shade, the watering places where people gather, and this would harm them and take away their benefit from these public places. Rather, he brings the curse of Allah upon him. This shows that they can curse him, meaning if he does this, he brought this upon himself. He goes number one or number two in the shade of the people, in the streets of the people, and they curse him. He deserved that. He deserved that because he's the one who brought it upon himself. And then we talked about the matter of speaking in the bathroom. If there's a need, then one can. Someone calls him and says, "I'm in the bathroom." You can say something like that if there's a need. But the name of Allah, no, that should not be mentioned while a person is actively in the bathroom. And finally, about the last hadith about using the right hand only for good things, not for the going in the restroom, and not blowing or breathing into the vessel. So, any questions on this one?
So outside of the more religious matters where one is supposed to use the right hand or where they're supposed to use the left hand, is it like frowned upon for someone to be like ambidextrous, like adept using both hands for various things but not religious wise?
I mean, there's nothing wrong to use the left hand in anything that's not legislated. So a person can use the left hand whenever he wants. So the question was, can a person who is ambidextrous can use both hands? There's nothing wrong with that. But generally, most people, I think, are right-handed. Most people, that's the stronger hand. So generally, people usually use the right hand more. But there's nothing wrong that a person, especially if he's born that way, that's the stronger hand. There's nothing he can do about it. But generally, the person, should be trained upon using the right hand. This is something which can be done, to be writing and using the right hand. But a person can use both hands if the need arises. Yeah, I think does that answer your question? There's nothing frowned upon. Only eating, salam. Some people, for example, they give salam with two hands. That's not the sunnah. The sunnah is to salam with the right hand. because the left hand, is used for filthy things. So it should not be. This is a nice act that you're giving salam to your brother. Should not be using left hand, in this manner. And it's not the sunnah. Sunnah is right one hand salam. But like, for example, a person, when he lifts objects, he has to use both hands. If he hugs, he's going to use both hands. So there's room for that outside of what's been reported. Any other question? طيب جزاكم الله خير وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم اغفر لنا ولوالدينا وللمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات إن شاء الله إذا كان في الأمور بقية نواصل في هذا الباب وبارك الله فيكم أجمعين.